So with this question, we have the integral of sine theta d theta, and we're integrating between pi over 6 and pi. Alright, so when you're integrating, really with any type of integration question, you're looking for what's called the antiderivative of the integrand. So in this case, we're trying to find what is the antiderivative of sine theta, or what trig function, if you differentiate it, would equal sine theta. So hopefully you remember from your differentiation rules that the derivative of cosine theta, so the derivative of cosine theta, is equal to negative sine theta. So that tells me that the antiderivative of sine theta should be negative cos theta. Because going back up here, if this were the derivative of negative cos theta, if I put a negative sign out here, or even inside of here, got rid of that one, then I would get the derivative of negative cosine theta to be positive sine theta. And that's what I want for this question. So we've successfully found that. So we know that the integral of sine theta is negative cosine theta. We're integrating between pi and pi over 6. If you remember your cosine wave, this is 0. And this is pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Our cosine wave starts at a maximum of 1 at 0, goes down to 0 at pi over 2, goes down to negative 1 at pi, comes back up to 0 at 3 pi over 2, and goes back up to 1 by 2 pi. So basically what we need to do is plug in pi and pi over 6 into our theta and subtract those results. So what I have here is negative cosine instead of theta pi, put that in parentheses, and I'm going to subtract that away from negative cosine of pi over 6. So cosine of pi, we see it on the graph here, the cosine of pi is negative 1. So the cosine wave at pi is equal to negative 1. This will be negative times negative 1, which is just positive 1. Now, so we have 1 minus, now what we have on the inside of this parentheses, negative cosine pi over 6. Pi over 6 is not shown in this graph, but pi over 6, if you remember, is equal to 30 degrees. So we can draw a right triangle, 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Remember that the side opposite of 30 is represented as x. Side opposite of 60 is represented as x square root 3. And the hypotenuse is 2x. And from SOHCAHTOA, everyone's favorite trig word, cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So remember that we said pi over 6 is equal to 30 degrees. So the adjacent over the hypotenuse here would be x root 3 over 2x. The x's cross out, leaving me with root 3 over 2. So that means that cos of pi over 6 is root 3 over 2, but we have a negative, so that makes it negative root 3 over 2, making this a total of 1 plus root 3 over 2. We can simplify that, of course, by making 1 into 2 over 2, and this would end up being 2 plus root 3 all over 2, and that would be your final answer.